You've probably heard people say the first $100,000 is the hardest, but did you know that once you hit that milestone, you're actually 1/3 of the way to becoming a millionaire? Not halfway, 1/3. That sounds impossible until you see the math. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why hitting 100,000 is such a massive deal and how compound interest turns your money into a wealth building machine that works faster than you think. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, compound interest, and why most people never seem to escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle. If you are someone who actually wants to understand how wealth building really works instead of just hoping for the best, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up being helpful. Think about running a marathon. The first 10 miles feel brutal. Your legs hurt, you're questioning everything, but once you hit mile 13, something shifts. Your body finds its rhythm. The next 10 miles feel easier even though you're going the same pace. Wealth building works the same way. The beginning is a grind, but once you hit certain milestones, the momentum takes over and the numbers start moving faster than you ever thought possible. Let's break down exactly why 100,000 is the turning point. The math of compound interest that nobody explains clearly. Here's the setup. You invest $100 per week, earning an average return of 8% after inflation. That's roughly what the S&P 500 returns long-term when you account for inflation eating away at gains. It takes about 12 years to reach your first $100,000. 12 years of discipline. 12 years of putting money away while watching it barely move. During those 12 years, you contribute about $62,400 from your paycheck. The other $37,600 comes from your investments earning returns. So you're doing most of the heavy lifting, your money is helping, but you're still the main engine. Now, here's where it gets interesting. To go from 100,000 to 200,000, it only takes another 6 years. Not 12, 6. You've been contributing $100 per week the whole time. Nothing changed about your behavior. But suddenly the timeline cut in half. Why? Because now your money is working harder than you are. By the time you hit 200,000, you've contributed $93,600 from your paycheck, but you've earned over $106,000 in returns. Your investments just outpaced your contributions for the first time. The psychology here is critical. For 12 years, it felt like you were doing all the work. Then in just 6 more years, your money caught up and passed you. That shift is what most people never experience because they quit during the first 12 years when it feels like nothing's happening. The consequence of not understanding this? You'll get discouraged around year 5 or 6 when your balance is still under 50,000 and you'll stop investing right before the compounding starts to accelerate. The action. If you're in the early grind phase, right now, before 100,000, understand that you're in the hardest part. The next phase is easier. Stay consistent. The millionaire timeline is faster than you think. Let's keep going with the same $100 per week at 8%. You hit 100,000 at year 12. You hit 200,000 at year 18. Now, let's jump to the big number. You hit $1 million at year 36. Wait. Let's do that math again. 12 years to 100,000. 18 more years to 1 million. That's a total of 36 years, but only 18 additional years after hitting 100,000. You're already 1/3 of the way there in terms of time once you hit that first milestone. But here's the part that makes people's heads explode. By year 36, when you hit 1 million, you've only contributed $187,200 from your paycheck over the entire journey. The other $812,800 came from compound returns. Your money did more than 4 times the work you did. And it gets even crazier. At year 36, you're earning about $80,000 in interest in just 1 year. Think about that. It took you 12 years to accumulate 100,000 through contributions and returns combined. Now your portfolio is generating almost that much annually without you adding a single extra dollar. The psychology. Once you see your money earning more in a year than you could save in a year, your entire relationship with work changes. You're no longer dependent on your paycheck as the only wealth building tool. Your investments are pulling their weight. The consequence of quitting before this point? You'll work hard your entire life and never experience the phase where your money works harder than you do. The action. Write down where you are right now and project where you'll be in 12 years if you stay consistent. That future number is closer than it feels. Why 100,000 is the psychological turning point. There's something that happens in your brain when you hit 6 figures in investments that's hard to explain until you experience it. Suddenly, investing isn't just a concept, it's real. You can see the balance. You can watch it grow by thousands of dollars in good months. That feeling is addictive in the best possible way. Poor Peter contributes sporadically. Some months he invests, other months he doesn't. He's never built the habit because he's never seen big enough numbers to get excited about. His balance hovers around $10,000 for years. He doesn't feel the pull to keep going because the rewards feel distant. Rich Richard hits $50,000 and something clicks. He starts checking his portfolio more often, not obsessively but with interest. When he sees it jump to $52,000 in a good month, he feels a rush. That $2,000 gain happened while he was sleeping. He didn't work for it. It just appeared. That feeling makes him want to contribute more. When he gets a raise, he doesn't upgrade his lifestyle. He increases his automatic investment to $150 per week because he's seen what compounding can do. The psychology, motivation follows action, but big action follows visible results. Once you see your money growing on its own, you become a different kind of investor. You're no longer hoping it works. You know it works because you've watched it happen. The consequence of never reaching this point? You'll treat investing like a chore instead of a priority. You'll find excuses to skip contributions. You'll never develop the identity of someone who builds wealth. The action. If you're under $50,000 right now, set that as your next concrete goal. Not because $50,000 changes your life, but because it changes your mindset. And mindset drives behavior. The lifestyle question nobody asks. Here's what makes this entire strategy accessible. You don't need to sacrifice your quality of life to make this work. $100 per week is not some insane number. It's skipping one dinner out per week. It's driving a reliable used car instead of financing a new one. It's choosing the smaller apartment or getting a roommate for a few years. Poor Peter makes $50,000 per year and invests nothing. He tells himself he'll start when he makes more money. But when he gets a raise to $60,000, he upgrades his car payment and his rent and still invests nothing. He's trapped in lifestyle inflation. Every dollar he earns gets spent immediately. Rich Richard makes $50,000 and invests $100 per week. That's $5,200 per year, or about 10% of his gross income. It's not comfortable, but it's doable. When he gets a raise to $60,000, he keeps his lifestyle mostly flat and increases his investment to $150 per week. Now, he's investing $7,800 per year. The gap between his income and his spending is what builds wealth. The psychology. Your lifestyle is a choice. Most people let their spending rise automatically with their income. Disciplined people make conscious decisions about where each dollar goes. The consequence of lifestyle inflation? You'll earn more every single year of your career and still feel broke at every income level because you spent every raise. The action: calculate 10% of your current gross income. If you're not investing that amount yet, that's your target. Once you hit it and get a raise, keep your lifestyle flat and increase the percentage. That gap is your wealth building engine. The objection everyone has about market crashes. Let's shift gears and talk about the fear. What if the market crashes right when you hit 100,000? What if you lose half your portfolio? Here's the reality. If you're investing consistently over decades, you will experience multiple crashes. 2008 happened. March 2020 happened. They'll happen again. Poor Peter sees his portfolio drop from $60,000 to $40,000 during a crash and panics. He sells everything. He locks in the loss. Then he watches from the sidelines as the market recovers and his $40,000 would have grown back to $70,000 if he just stayed invested. He missed the entire recovery because fear controlled his decisions. Rich Richard sees the same drop from $60,000 to $40,000. He's stressed, but he understands the math. He knows that if he keeps investing $100 per week during the crash, he's buying shares at a discount. When the market recovers, which it always has historically, his portfolio doesn't just recover. It surges past where it was because he bought low. The psychology: short-term volatility is the price you pay for long-term returns. If you can't handle seeing your balance drop, you won't capture the gains. The consequence of panic selling: you'll lock in losses and miss recoveries. You'll spend decades jumping in and out of the market and end up with less than someone who just stayed invested and did nothing. The action: automate your investments so they happen whether the market is up or down. Nachung: remove your ability to make emotional decisions. That automation is what separates people who build wealth from people who just talk about it. What this actually looks like in practice. Let's make this concrete with a real comparison. Poor Peter and Rich Richard both start investing at age 25. Poor Peter contributes inconsistently. Some years he invests, some years he doesn't. He tries to time the market. He pulls money out when he needs it. By age 65, he has maybe $200,000 saved. It's better than nothing, but it's not enough to retire comfortably. He'll probably work part-time into his 70s. Rich Richard starts at 25 and contributes $100 per week no matter what. He never stops. He never tries to time the market. He just stays consistent. By age 61, he has $1 million. At that point, his portfolio is generating about $80,000 per year in returns. He can live off the growth without touching the principal. He retires comfortably and his wealth keeps growing. The difference between these two people isn't intelligence or luck or income. It's consistency and time. Rich Richard stayed in the game long enough for compounding to take over. Poor Peter kept restarting and never built momentum. The psychology. Wealth isn't built in bursts. It's built brick by brick over decades. Boring, consistent behavior beats exciting, sporadic action every single time. The consequence of inconsistency? You'll work your entire life and have nothing to show for it except regrets about what could have been if you just stayed disciplined. The action. Set up automatic weekly or bi-weekly investments right now. Make it automatic so you can't skip it. Then forget about it and let time do the work. Here's the truth. Reaching $100,000 isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun for the phase where your money finally works harder than you do. The first 12 years are a grind. Your contributions do most of the heavy lifting, but once you cross that threshold, compounding takes over. The next 6 years get you to 200,000. 18 more years get you to 1 million. And during that entire journey, your money is quietly outpacing everything you could contribute from your paycheck. The people who make it aren't smarter or luckier. They're just more patient. They stayed consistent through the boring years when nothing seemed to be happening. They didn't quit when their balance was 20,000 and progress felt slow. They trusted the math, and the math doesn't lie. If you're sitting at 10,000 or 30,000 or 60,000 right now, you're closer than you think. 100,000 isn't some impossible dream. It's just 12 years of $100 per week. And once you hit it, everything accelerates. Pick your number, automate the investment, then let time and compounding do what they've always done for people patient enough to let them work.